Okay, I've just got about 15 minutes left, and I'm going to really quickly go through some of this stuff. Trump was good friends with JFK Jr., okay? Really good friends with him. He really liked him and the family and all that. So much so that when she wore light blue on that, Trump had her wear light blue on that day, on the inauguration day, okay? Two elegant first ladies. All right. Then they were throwing this around. Trump's rhetoric renews debate in Guam. Guam as being the tip of the spear. Is it worth it? We're supposed to have some nukes based around the world, wherever. But Guam is one of the launching points for us militarily to the Far East. And when Kim Jong-il was shooting things off and all that, they were talking of the tip of the spear. Is it worth it? Trump's tip of the spear. Okay? Life of the tip of the spear in Guam. Right? This was going back when Trump was going off. All right. So once again, Trump being the tip of the spear, that's what I'm relating that to, because they were pumping it in the news, right? Another thing of what's going on is God has a timeline, and if Satan can break any word in the Bible or get something to go out of a timeline that God said, then God would lose this battle, because God's word is, was, and will be forever. It's immovable. So Satan's trying to move this timeline because he knows his time is short. So the closer you get to death, you try anything you can to break this war, to win the war. But he's cornered like a caged cat, right? So he was trying to start World War III with Russia, with North Korea, but it was all being ironed out by God, okay, they're not letting him be the tip of the spear. God says it's not time, you're not going to get away with this yet, right? So, Fitzgerald, what does Fitzgerald mean? The meaning of Fitzgerald means the son of the spear ruler. Okay, that's the middle name of JFK Jr. This is in Dallas, and this is Kennedy's route that he took. There's a book depository building, and here is where he got shot. Right here. The other side of the road comes down here and it makes a spear tip. It's a triangle. And he got right here. That's where the separation would be from the truncated pyramid down. Right there on that grassy knoll. You know what the name of this street is? Elm Street. That's where Nightmare on Elm Street, all this shit comes from. It's the same stuff. Right? So, the Oscar means spear of the gods. See, they each got to have their own forces going back and forth. The same verbiage, the same game, one versus the other. And that's why an Oscars comes around, it looks like a spear tip. That's what they have that there. Okay? Tip of the spear, Guam. All right, let's move on real quick. So what's really going on here? It's very simple. Globalism. This is the Democrats. Just like Nimrod. Let's all come together. We all have to think alike. We all have to be alike. Whenever the world gets together as one, stand by. Hitler was trying to conquer the world so he could all be one, right? Conquer the world. That's what these people do. God is an individualist, okay? He believes in nationalism. He wants different countries. We're all individual. Satan wants us all to be like him, the way he does things. All right? This is where it's going. That's why it started with Nimrod. That's why all these people at the G20 had their little pins, all the same. Trump had an American flag. Okay? This all started with Adam Weishaupt. This is a guy you should study. He's part of the Illuminati. He put this end plan in place, one of them. Okay, it's the New World Order. It goes through the Masons. I'm going to zip through this. You have the Bilderberg Club. The way you're doing this is through the Bilderbergs, the big business leaders, the Council of Foreign Relations, and the Trilateral Commission. Those are the groups that are, and the Illuminati, putting all this. Illuminati's the banking system behind all this stuff. They're the ones putting this new world order of globalism together. Trump was picked by God to stop it. Okay? They use the Federal Reserve. There's nothing federal about the Federal Reserve. There's 9 satanic families that own this. It's nothing federal about that. They put the word federal in there to fool us dumb Americans, thinking that's part of this. It's 9 families own this, and they keep taking these trillions of dollars out, and they don't even have trillions of dollars. They just go into a computer, hit a bunch of ones and a bunch of zeros, take it out, and then we Americans have to pay the 9 satanic families back with inflation, with interest, and then they take that money and they add it to the Democratic Party and to the Satanic Party and to their agenda, and they just kept doing this, and they're taxing us to death using this Federal Reserve System. Part of the round table. Woodrow Wilson signed the Federal Reserve Act in 1913. It says he says that he knew right then that after he signed this that he had sold the he sold the country out. He wished he had never done it. He was a racist anyway. Anyway, I'm not going to get into all this stuff, but I do want to show you this. Disney is satanic. I didn't even spend a lot of time getting into it, but I just ran across this the other night and thought I'd throw it in. Everybody thinks this is such a cute little movie and all this. Well, where does this image come from? It comes from Adolf Hitler. These are Jewish kids that were being tortured by Hitler. Okay? This is what the Nazis were doing back during World War II. And then Disney makes a movie out of it. Ha, 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 ha. Real funny. There's your Pope, the unseen hand. There he is. That's a Masonic thing. Put your hand, it's the unseen hand. The hand, it's the puppet master that you don't see behind the strings. 666, another Pope. Star pointed down. The Masons. It's the double cross. We were double crossed. That's where that word comes from. And it comes from the Masons. It's down. It's all the same thing. J.K. Rowling's. That's where she got her symbol from in Harry Potter. It's the eye, the all-seeing eye. That chick's toast. And you see what it's... give me a second. So we had to take a little break there, but J.K. Rowling's, this is the thing she came up with, right? She's talking like, she's speaking the language. She's talking about Balaska, the churches and all that stuff. Big serpents. She's in it big time. So, moving right along, we know about Baphomet, but he has what's here on one hand. He's got Solve, S-O-L-V-E, and Galace or something. It's Latin. I used to know what it means. I don't know anymore, but I'll get to this in a second. Baphomet is worshipped by the Templars as symbolic of Satan. Okay, the Templars were into this. And then the Templars, they got disbanded in the year 1307, and they came up a couple hundred years later in Scotland as the Masons. And then the Masons made their way around prior. And you can see all the symbols that these people use. It's the same stuff, the 8-pointed star, the Iron Cross, all that. Same stuff, we went over that they use, that they use. Oh, eyes wide shut. That's what they want you to do. They want you to be eyes wide shut. They don't want you to see this. They want you to be asleep, right? It's time to wake up, right? That's why they combine male and female and the all-seeing eye here. This is what it means, right? Stanley Kubrick was talking about this. By the way, I thought I had it in here, but the reason I put this in here, this thing is J.K. Rowling has this tattooed on her hand, and I had a picture of it. I thought it was coming up next, but there's a picture of her tattooed with what Baphomet has tattooed or written on his hand. I thought it was there. Sorry, maybe it's in the coming up. But anyway, this is the world in which we live. It's owned by evil. It always has been. Stanley Kubrick, orange, they make the eye and the triangle. They got t-shirts, 666, right? 666. They're doing the forward and backward, 6, 6, and 6, forward and backward. It's right in front of you. You know the system now. For those of you that never seen this, you know the system. And it's all about the truncated pyramid, this all-seeing eye. Okay, that's why they do this. They wear an M and you turn it upside down and it's a W. A V and a V, a W. Witchcraft when you cross. Okay, one eye. They want you in this position. You've got to be born again and open both eyes. Be single-eyed. If thou is single-eyed, the body will be full of light, is what it says in the Bible. They're all doing shh, right? She comes on this. This is a really weird thing. But she appears. She's wearing an upside-down cross here. She's got a serpent on over here. And she's wearing an X and an X. XX, the female chromosome. Female, right? SS. This isn't two S's. Those are lightning bolts. Satan fell like lightning from the heavens or the skies. Okay? That's the lightning bolts. And a good friend here is with me, says, hey, you know what? Those are two Vavs. Those are a Vav and a Vav. That was the hook. That was the trigger mechanism. That was really great that he said that. And they're wearing the V. I can't make this. It's the same stuff. Silence of the lambs. This is getting interesting, okay? Who's the lambs? We're the lambs of God. Peter, feed my sheep. Peter, feed my sheep. They want to silence us. What was this movie about? It was about cannibalization, right? Cain and Abel. Cannibal. It's about cannibalization. And he would make a sound. He would make the sound of a rattlesnake before it ate, right? Before it cannibalized. That's why it's half. We're half one and half the other. In this happens quite a bit. You'll see in Hollywood. There's a scene where she's in prison talking to this guy, and she's leaving, and there's a guy in another cell masturbating, and he throws his sperm on her face, right? It's a mockery to God. And they do this all the time. Here's Helter Skelter doing the same things that the people, we talked about Rise, we talked about this. Oh, come on. Here it is. This is what I'm getting at. What they're doing here, he sold out, she's a witch, and they're braided together. They're braided together. The two have become one. Like this, though. It's actually like this. But braid in the Strong's Concordance means Arabic. Arabic means braided together. Okay? This is what I wanted to tell you. There's D. Antwoord made a video, Fatty Fatty Boom Boom, where a actress is representing Lady Gaga because she's in a meat suit. Get it? A meat suit. We're wearing meat suits. All right? And she comes in and she's pregnant, right? And she pops this thing out. This thing comes out. It's a bug. Pops out and all this stuff goes spurting over the face, over the Lion of Judah. The same thing with the Silence of the Lambs. It was a sperm that was on the face. They do this all the time. It's a mockery to God is what they're doing. And what comes out is an insect, right? And it's upside down. It's upside down. That's how we're born into this world. Head down, right? And the next scene, the scene just splits away and poof, they're looking back the other way and the bug is right side up. Upside down, right side up, right? And it's called a Jerusalem beetle. A Jerusalem beetle. I'll just finish this up real quick. Beyonce, they're calling her the Queen Bee. Queen Bee, remember? Do what thou wilt. That's what Satan says. That's what Aleister Crowley says, right? Look at the symbology. That's Barbara Bush's father, right? Wow. What are they wearing? You know, really? Be the originals, right? Remember, this is the painting. They're making the painting of Venus or Lucifer, an angel and a woman over here, right? That's what they're doing. The originals. And there's old Fauci. I didn't have time. I wanted to put that next to the guy in I wanted to put that next to Silence of the Lambs guy when he's wearing his mask. When he's in his mask, he looks like Fauci. Right? Anyway, last thing to show you what's going on, we get a number 1312. Okay, it means destroy, decay, corruption. Destruction, decay, corruption. Well, where do we see that? We see that out west, ACAB. We see that in Portland. All cops are bad, right? That's what it's supposed to stand for. But whenever you see red writing on the wall like that, that's the same thing as what the Mansons were doing and all that. It's evil. It's an evil spirit in somebody. They're possessed. And they're writing, look how they write this. But what it means isn't all cops are bad. It's 1312. ACAB. And it means destruction, decay, corruption. Satan uses the Strong's Concordance to pass a message out. That's Jonathan Kleck broke the code. God came down and told him how to break the code of evil. You could see it, and they're using the Strong's Concordance, right? And what they're doing with us is what's called the Hegelian dialectic. This is extremely important. You have a thesis and antithesis, and then you have the synthesis. So to get a country that's free to move to become a communist nation, you have an argument about abortion, right? And then abortion gets legalized and you just move the ball over some. Then you have a fight about the two opposing forces, the blacks versus the whites, the gays versus the straights, the 99% versus the 1%. All this, and you slowly, through time, you move the country. This is how you do it, is through this. We're the United States of America. We're supposed to be united. We're supposed to be a united country. But they're using the Hegelian dialectic to move us, to change the synthesis of what's going on. And here we are. Once again, 3 red, 3 means angel of the bottomless pit. That was Obama's symbol, right? Well, now the sun is fully raised. It's fully up. And once again, 1, 2, 3, angel of the bottomless pit. It's time. We're there. Every country that has ever gone against Israel has the same symbols. Satan uses the same symbols, same game plan, same rhetoric, same everything. Different people, different civilizations, different time periods, same thing. It's repetitive. This is how God, God is God. He could repeat. And they use the same symbols. The bird with the wing spread, head pointed to the right. Egypt was the first one to do that fight. Then it was Rome's turn. Okay, Rome, bird, wing spread, head to right. Then it was the Third Reich, bird, wing spread, head pointed to the right. Now, ta-dam, in the end days, it says, the Bible says, every nation shall be against Israel. I got news for you. America's the only nation for Israel right now in the world. And once we go, we're in the end days. And this administration just pulled out of Afghanistan and left $85 billion in tanks, weaponry, tows, dragons, laws, all sorts of guns, hand grenades, high-tech night vision, planes, helicopters. Where do you think how close are we to World War III? They're going to take that armament and they're going to just march it about 600 miles away, right to the edge of Israel. And guess what's going to happen? Okay? Biden just started World War III. We don't know it yet, but it's right around the corner. And Israel's a small nation. When they start getting attacked with all this weaponry, the only thing they could do is this. Boom. Press the big button. Okay, this is, again, I told you we're going to talk briefly about phi and pi. We're not going to do it right now, but I want you to see this so you're thinking this. Phi, F-I. But it really is a pi. It's the two merged, phi and pi merged. God created the world with phi. Satan's going to destroy the world using pi and UFOs. And we'll get to the UFOs in the next segment, but I just got a couple more here. If you sell your soul, you can do anything. Look at blue origin. Blue origin. Have we seen that before? Blue origin. The originals of the blue planet. They are the originals of the blue planet. You sell your soul and you sell out. Watch. What's his logo on this? It's a feather, right? It's a feather. Well, who are wearing feathers? The angels. The angels were wearing feathers. That's his logo, blue origin. The angels were the originals, okay? He sold his soul big time. All right, I've got that. We can kill it right there. And otherwise. All right, folks, it's been about 2 weeks since the last video, even though it's going to seem like no time at all for you guys. It's been about 2 weeks. So in that 2 week period, we were talking about the Vatican quite a bit. And I went back and did a little more research, and I found a lot more stuff, actually. It's all over the place now. Everything is wide open, okay? I want you to see what the priest is doing here. He's making a pyramid with his hands, and that is the all-seeing eye, okay? That's that part right there. That's what that is. And what he does is once again, the world is in half. The whole world is half up and half down. He then breaks it in half, and then he eats it. He cannibalizes it. Now the Catholics believe that wafer, a priest will say a prayer over that wafer, and they believe that turns into the literal body of Christ. That's what they're taught. But the Catholics don't understand, if that's the body of Christ, why would you cannibalize your God? It's because it goes all the way back to the very beginning when Satan was in the Garden of Eden and he had sex with Eve, and Adam had sex with Eve, and a sperm from one man and a sperm from another got into the same egg of Eve, and they had twins called Cain and Abel. Cannibal. It's a cannibalistic world that we live in, right? And the flesh is trying to devour the spirit, or the spirit is trying to devour the flesh, meaning to be born again, the spirit must win. And if you're not born again, the flesh wins. Okay, so why would we eat or cannibalize our God? It's because Satan's mocking the Catholics. Everything else I've shown you in here is proof of that. And here's what's coming. The Pope, who's a Jesuit. The Jesuits are the satanic wing of the Catholic Church. They've been trying to take over Catholicism for 100 years. Well, this is the first Pope that's a Jesuit, okay? And he just went over about 2 years ago and made a pact with Islam. And it's called Chrislam. They're merging Christianity and Islam. Okay, they're setting up the New World Order, which is going to be a one world government. It's going to be a one world religion, and it's going to be a one world currency, which is going to be a chip. It's going to go in your right hand or forehead. And once you take that chip, once that chip enters your body, either here on your right hand or here in your forehead, it's over. You do not go to heaven. It point blank says that in the Bible. Okay, and I'm warning you. I'm warning you not to take this chip. But if you don't take that chip, then guess what's going to happen? You ain't going to be able to feed your kids. You're going to lose your house. You're going to lose your job. That's the choice. Our choice is a direct reflection of Christ's life. Christ gave his life so that we would get our lives. And we're going to have to give our life in order to get our life. It's the same thing. It's not going to be fun, but people are going to take that chip because their kids aren't eating, and to the pit they will go. Here's a warning right now. Chrislam. Here it is. He's shaking hands, making the deal. It's all over the place. They're merging. It's not good. Once again, I was doing a little research, and this is Dagon, the fish god. This was the beginning of Catholicism way back in the early first and second century. And you see it? It's a fish. That's what he's wearing right here. There's an eye, and this is the mouth of the fish. Whoops. See, there's the mouth of the fish and the eye. That's what that mitre is. It's a fish head, because they used to wear this centuries ago. It's a pagan god. There's another look at the eye, and then the open mouth over here. It's Dagon. They've merged pagan gods with the Christian God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They merged the Egyptian sun god. That's why there's the penis of the sun god Ra in the Vatican Square out there, right? And look at, what the hell? What are they doing? Throwing the devil sign out there, right? Why are they doing that? This is an interesting one I saw this weekend. Look at his shadow that he's casting. Now that's kind of interesting, I think. It is what it is. I also found this. Let's go back to this building, okay, which is right next to the penis of the sun god Ra here in St. Peter's Basilica, and this building right here. It's called Audience Hall. It's made to look like a serpent. We talked about this inside, but we're gonna talk about this thing back here a little more. We're gonna talk about this, and I already told you that it's the serpent race, the head of one of these. You see it right there, and man mixed. Okay, it's a mixture. This is the world we live in, folks. But what this is now, if you take a mirror and you hold it up at a 90-degree angle, you see it's a twin of itself. It makes Baphomet. You can see the goat head here. See it? If you take half of it and you could take a mirror, or you could flip the picture, it makes Baphomet, the goat head, right here. The whole world is half, folks. The whole world. God lives in our spirit, in our heart. Satan owns the flesh, and the two are warring all the time. And you've got to be born again. You've got to be born again. All right, it's that simple. Now we're going to talk about, told you, UFOs and and pi. Satan's going to destroy the world using pi. Okay, I'm going to stop the video right here. I mean, you can cut this out, but you don't have to. If you want to stop it, you can stop it. But stop it. And I want to. Okay, folks, we're going to start talking about UFOs here, and I want you to see a lady by the name of Dr. Carol Rosen. She worked with Wernher von Braun. Now, Wernher von Braun was a Nazi who was working under Hitler, of course, and he was into the occult. And Wernher von Braun knew of the things that were to come, that the occult world, that Satan was going to do, that what he was planning. And he's planning an asteroid that hit the earth, which that's the second trump in the book of Revelation, which I'll show you, and UFOs. Okay, and this is how, and I'll show you the mathematical, how you'll know for a fact that the UFOs are demon spirits, and I will prove it mathematically. Okay, but let's listen to what Dr. Rosen says first. Here we go.
When I was a corporate manager of Fairchild Industries in 1974 through 77, I met the late Dr. Wernher von Braun in early 74. At that time, von Braun was dying of cancer, but he assured me that he would live a few more years in order to tell me about the game that was being played. That game being the effort to weaponize space, to control the Earth from space and space itself. Von Braun's purpose in life during the last years of his life, his dying years, was to educate the public and decision makers about why space-based weapons are a dumb, dangerous, destabilizing, too costly, unnecessary, unworkable, undesirable idea. The strategy that Wernher von Braun taught me was that first the Russians are going to be considered to be the enemy. In fact, when I met him in '74, they were the enemy, the identified enemy. We were told that they had killer satellites. We were told that they were coming to get us and control us, the dirty commies, that whole story. First, the Russians were the enemy against whom we're going to build space-based weapons. Then terrorists would be identified, and that was soon to follow. We heard a lot about terrorism. Then we were going to identify third world country crazies. We now call them nations of concern. But he said that would be the third enemy against whom we would be needing to build space-based weapons. And the next enemy was asteroids. Now at this point, he kind of chuckled the first time he said it. Asteroids, against asteroids we're going to build space-based weapons. So it was funny then. And the funniest one of all was against what he called aliens, extraterrestrials. That would be the final card. And over and over and over during the 4 years that I knew him and was giving his speeches for him, he would bring up that last card. And remember, Carol, the last card is the alien card. We're going to have to build space-based weapons against aliens. And all of it, he said, is a lie. He didn't mention a timeline, but he said that it was going to be speeding up faster than anybody could possibly imagine. That the effort to put weapons in space was not only based on a lie, but would accelerate past the point of people even understanding it until it was already up there and too late. In 1977, I was at a meeting in Fairchild Industries in a conference room called the War Room. This is 1977. And they were talking about creating a war in the Gulf region when there was $25 billion in the space-based weapons program that yet had not been identified. It wasn't called the Strategic Defense Initiative, at least, until 1983. This weapons system then had obviously been going on for some time that I didn't know anything about. So I stood up in this meeting in 1977 and it said, I'd like to know why we're talking about space-based weapons against these enemies. I'd like to know more about this. Would somebody tell me what this is about? Nobody answered. They went on with this meeting as though I hadn't said anything.
Dr. Carol Rawson is one of over 400.
You can cut it at that point.
Good.
Okay, we're talking about UFOs and how they are going to be demon spirits. And this is what's going on. This is mathematical. I'll show you the mathematics behind it. You have where the fallen angels fell. Let's say this is the equator. And this is a 33.33 degree line of latitude. If you take 33.33 where the fallen angels landed on Mount Harmon, which is right here, times pi. I told you, Satan is really upset that God put the blood on the doorpost, right? We talked about Google Phi and pi, and they're merged and all this. Pi, so if we multiply 33.33 where the fallen angels fell times pi, 3.1415, we get 104.7. Well, what is 104.7? 104.7 is a line of longitude, okay? So where they fell, if we shoot an arrow or a bullet through the earth, right on that line, 33.33 degrees, and it comes out here on the other side, okay? The bullet comes out here on the other side. What we're going to do is I'm going to turn 90 degrees, the earth 90 degrees, and this 104.7 is a line of longitude that's going to be on this point right here, but I'm going to turn it to where the line of longitude is here. So right here, if on the opposite side of the earth, the fallen angels fell, and they shot a bullet or an arrow straight out through to the other side of the earth, it would land on this radio, 104.7, right here. What do you suppose, listening to Carol Rosen, would be the city right there? Roswell, New Mexico. Roswell, New Mexico. What happened in Roswell, New Mexico? Oh, the UFO crashed over there, and they had these alien beings, and this is where it all started, right? Now that's pretty coincidental, right? Let's take a look at a little more math to make it really coincidental. All right, you might have to do a little editing here.
Good.
Okay, we're talking about UFOs and how they are going to be demon spirits. And this is what's going on. This is mathematical. I'll show you the mathematics behind it. You have where the fallen angels fell. Let's say this is the equator. And this is a 33.33 degree line of latitude. If you take 33.33 where the fallen angels landed on Mount Harmon, which is right here, times pi. I told you, Satan is really upset that God put the blood on the doorpost, right? We talked about Google Phi and pi, and they're merged and all this. Pi. So if we multiply 33.33 where the fallen angels fell times pi, 3.1415, we get 104.7. Well, what is 104.7? 104.7 is a line of longitude, okay? So where they fell, if we shoot an arrow or a bullet through the earth, right on that line, 33.33 degrees, and it comes out here on the other side, okay? The bullet comes out here on the other side. What we're going to do is I'm going to turn 90 degrees, the earth 90 degrees, and this 104.7 is a line of longitude that's going to be on this point right here, but I'm going to turn it to where the line of longitude is here. So right here, if on the opposite side of the earth, the fallen angels fell, and they shot a bullet or an arrow straight out through to the other side of the earth, it would land on this radio, 104.7, right here. What do you suppose, listening to Carol Rosen, would be the city right there? Roswell, New Mexico. Roswell, New Mexico. What happened in Roswell, New Mexico? Oh, the UFO crashed over there, and they had these alien beings, and this is where it all started, right? Now that's pretty coincidental, right? Let's take a look at a little more math to make it really coincidental. All right, you might have to do a little editing here. Okay, this is a crop circle that was found in England. And if you look at it, there's 59 lines of resolution in this. And on this disc, like we listen to our music on discs, there's 33 lines of resolution, okay? Now these numbers start to do a funny little thing if we look at this. 59 and 33. If you take, if you take 59 times 33, you get 1947. If you take 33% of 59, you get 1947. What year did the alien crash in Roswell, New Mexico? 1947. That's interesting. What happened the following year in 1948 that has to do with God? Israel was formed as a nation. So what they're seeing is demons came right before the rebirth of Israel. Okay? What's going to happen in the end of time? Is the Antichrist going to come first, or is God going to come first? What's going to happen? The Antichrist is going to come right before the return of Christ. You see, it all plays out, and you cannot deny the mathematics behind all this. There's no way you could deny this. All right? So for you atheists out there, you better start opening your eyes. And you could see this all on Steve Kerr, Satan Exposed, number 5. It's about, I talk about this in greater detail in about 25, 30 minutes or so. I talk about aliens and the alien cards and all this. But anyway, there it is. You can see more about it there. Notice how the aliens have the Vesica Pisces eyes. They have the Vesica Pisces eyes. And watch, what are they doing? We talked about this earlier. What was sh? Remember the people have the tattooed S-H-H-H? H-H-H is the 8th letter of the alphabet. S is the 19th. 19 in the Strong's Concordance means slaughter. 888 means Christ. Slaughter Christ. Shh. Why is a UFO doing that? They're busted. I told you we're half everything, okay? In the movie Independence Day, you want to know where they got their UFO guy came from? From that. Let's see. Oh, there it is. There's the UFO guy, and all they did was draw the head, just a line over there, and that's the head, okay? We're going to talk about Apple a little bit more in just a second. There it is. See? There's the head of the alien in the movie, whatever it was. That's why Lady Dum Dum is acting like this alien here with her hands and everything. It was the alien in the movie, and this is a movie, and it's very interesting what you're seeing. You're seeing this female alien kiss a male, but remember in Genesis chapter 6, the Nephilim, the giants were created. They had 2 rows of teeth, and they had 6 fingers and 6 toes. Well, you're seeing this woman, alien, kissing this guy, and with her 2nd row of teeth, poof, she went right through the guy's head and killed him, right? Well, if you watch the original movie Alien with Sigourney Weaver, that's what happens. There's a mouth that opens up and another set of teeth that come out and everything. This is all biblical. You're watching biblical stuff on TV. You just don't know you're watching it, okay? They got the big head, and of course, this is very important. The tail with the stinger. This is the sting of death spoke about. There's the badges, the eyes with the big head. Get ready for it. If you look at this, it morphs. They're really showing you an alien. It's in your money. I'm watching the news and I'm looking at this congressman, and look at all the congressmen wear this Congress pin, right? And I'm going, it's an alien. You see it? The eye, the teeth, the big head coming around. It's an alien. It's the world in which we live. Now notice what's going on. There was Egypt, ancient Egypt had the pyramids. Well, we already talked about that the pyramid, or delta, mathematically means change. We were angels, and we followed Satan into this world. We got changed from an angel to a human. And if we don't get changed back, ask God for forgiveness and go back, we get morphed again into the pit. And we turn into one of these creatures spoke about that comes from the pit, these locusts. That's why there's bugs in the Vatican. It's these bugs, right? Here you go. It all fits together. It's the triangle. Okay, what else is... It's the triangle, change. What else is getting hit right now? Okay, moving along, we just got done talking about the Delta, right? Isn't it funny how COVID is a Delta also? They use the same stuff over and over, right? You just got to put this together. Let's take a little break. I want to bring this video up. I want you to see Apple. real quick. Apple. Okay, I told you we're going to talk about Apple Computer in a little bit. I want you to see the first Apple Computer commercial. Okay, and it was made in the year 1984. Oh, there was a book that talked about called 1984, right? That talked about the end of the world and how we're all going to be a bunch of drones marching around and all this stuff. Let's look at the first commercial by Apple Computer.
Today we celebrate the first glorious anniversary of the information purification practice. We have created, for the first time in all history, a garden of pure ideology, where each worker may bloom, secure from the pests, obeying contradictory thoughts. Unification of thoughts is more powerful a weapon than any fleet or army on earth. We are one people, with one will, one resolve, one cause. Our enemies shall talk themselves to death, and we will bury them with their own confusion. We shall prevail.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
Little preview of what's to come. I think we're almost there. Okay. By the way, how much did the first Apple computer sell for? $666.66. You think they're trying to tell us something? This whole world is owned by that guy, and he's pointing it out everywhere he can. He wants nothing of that God on this planet. That's why when that God came on this planet, they wanted him dead, they killed him. Little did that God know that when they killed that God, he broke Satan's plan. Satan fell right into his plan. And it opened a way for us, angels that are caught in this God's world, to go back home to that God. And it's again, we spoke about this earlier, but whenever the world comes together, we all got to think like what? That's a satanic thing. That's why the liberals are all going, we got to get together, we got to think as one, we got to act as one. No, it's about individualism. Nimrod was the first one to do that. He's the first globalist. They're the globalists. He's not. He's a nationalist. Okay? You're going to have to cut a little about here, but hold on, I'll just... The global government, Revelation 13:6, it spoke about this global government. It says, and it opened its mouth and uttered blasphemies against God, blaspheming his name and his dwelling, that is, those who dwell in heaven. Also, it was allowed to make war on the saints and to conquer them. And authority was given over every tribe and people and language and nation, and all who dwell on earth will worship it. That's when you take the mark of the beast. Everyone will be worshiping him. And you're going to have to get your head cut off if you want to go back home and you're still alive. If you don't take the mark of the beast, you're going to be, that's it. This is interesting, Star Wars, right? They're telling you about where this asteroid is going to hit. It's going to hit the Earth. That's what this is. That's what they're telling you. That's why they're showing this broke up and all this stuff. And look at how they have an 8-pointed star. That's the star of Satan, Lucifer. They're telling you in the movies what's going on. Look at it. It's all right in front of us, folks. Star Wars is, you could get into this movie in a huge way. In a huge way. Look at, they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the hexagon that sits on top of Saturn. And this whole thing about the cube, it's running around right here. They have a Illuminati card that shows a meteor strike, and where is it landing? This is Florida down here. This is the East Coast. It's going to hit the East Coast. That's why they showed us in two movies, Armageddon and 2012, I think it was the movie. They show this massive tidal wave coming, okay? And this is what the world's going to look like. America's going to look like this. The East Coast is going to be gone. Then there's going to be an eruption and an earthquake, and that side's going to be gone. And then we sign a peace accord with Israel, giving Israel, which is heaven on earth. We're dividing heaven on earth. And God says, oh, if you're going to divide my country, he says, I'm going to divide your country. And the final blow is this massive earthquake that's going to come down, and there's going to be absolutely nothing left of America, because there was absolutely nothing left of Israel years ago, and we are the twin of Israel. America and Israel are the twins. U.S. Navy has a map of it. This is what, this is how, there's a guy, I cannot think of his name right now. I'll tell you his name in just a second because I have it on here. He drew a map of what the earth is going to look like. And this is the map he made, okay? Look at this at the Oscars. Look at this big wall of water coming. They are Satanists. They sold their soul, every one of them. And they're telling you that this big wave of water is coming. We could stop the tape here real quick. Okay, folks, I forgot the guy's name. It's Edgar Casey. Edgar Casey would put himself into these trances, and he would draw these maps and everything. And anyway, Edgar Casey, Google him. Here, once again, New York City is about to fall. It's about to get hit by a massive tidal wave. And look what happened. God's warning us. This is how God warns us. Watch Wendy Williams here.
What a scare! Wendy Williams, dressed as Lady Liberty, faints on live TV. The frightening moment begins with her slurring her words.
Our first caress.
Then she wobbles and suddenly collapses. Stagehands rush to help her as the show goes to black.
That day's coming, folks. It's right around the corner. Once again, I showed you St. John's Cathedral in New York City. It's got the wave of water coming over New York City. Okay, you can see the bus, like I don't know if that's the Brooklyn Bridge or which bridge it is, but it's got a wave of water coming over, knocking this bus off. Look at all the water underneath it. Okay, the Masons built this church, by the way. All right, you can see the bus and the Statue of Liberty. It's all going to go down. That is the Antichrist being born right there. And we talked about this. This is the Jewish Cabal. They call it the Sephiroth, or the Tree of Life. It's dark magic and witchcraft and all that. And there's the one-eyed, folks. That's Satan himself on the statue. Okay. NASA issues pleas of action. Asteroid threat could take place on Earth. Could take us by surprise. They're starting to talk more about asteroids and UFOs. Because it's going to happen. They know what's going to happen. That's why Time Magazine, I showed you that. When Trump was president, they had 3 covers. 1, where this thing hits. 2, water's coming up. And 3, he's floating. Well, he's from New York. Der Spiegel, we talked about this earlier, right? They have we talked about that already. And here's the movie, whatever movie this was, talks about this big wave of water taking out the East Coast. Okay? It's going to be massive. It's going to be a life-changing event. And you know it's true when they show a scene and these things buzz over Virginia Beach, 6 miles. Not 10 miles, not 4 miles, 6 miles. They're telling you what's going on. And there's the big bridge breaking up. Okay? And then if you look at the Earth, there is no Florida down here. Okay, there's no Florida, and half of the East Coast is gone. It's going to happen, folks. They're telling you in movies. Will Smith's movie, seeing the bridge broke up in New York City. They're telling you what's happening, what's going to happen. Tidal wave card in the Illuminati card deck. There's Edgar Casey I was telling you about. He's made thousands of accurate predictions all over the world. There's the Great Eclipse of 2017. This is very interesting. Did you know that the Earth, we say it's tilted 23.4 degrees, but another way to describe the angle of the tilt is 66.6 degrees. That's interesting. There was a solar eclipse that took place in 2017, but it went into full eclipse right here over Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis, Tennessee was the capital of ancient Egypt, right? A lot of people don't know that. And there's going to be another full eclipse in 2024. I think God's crossing out America here. He says, you people are done. You're not living by my standards. And there's signs. But what's really interesting about this, they call this the black sun, right? Because it makes the moon gets in front of the sun, right? But it's funny that it happens right here in Memphis, Tennessee, where what's in Memphis, Tennessee? They've got the pyramid on the river. It's the Bass Pro Shop pyramid right there. But whenever tragedy hits the earth, there's always a black star that goes over that part of the earth prior to that happening. In 1619, where America got its slaves from, that crossed over. 1619 was the first year slaves made it from Africa to America. Now, what's interesting about this is we're in a twin. Whatever happens in the old times is going to happen in the new times. The twin of the slaves in America is the story of Egypt. Moses freed the slaves. How long were they slaves for? 400 years. And then the slaves were set free. Well, we're slaves to Satan. We followed Satan. We're in chains. We're slaves. The world is slaves. But in 1619, 400 years later would be 2019. Then you go into the twin year, 2020, which is what the whole system is a twin, right? And then the slaves are going to be set free, just like they did in Moses' time. We're right before the rapture. Now, how far is it? I don't know. It says in the Bible, nobody knows the day and the hour. But we're past the twin system now. So that's how far in the game, how late in the game we are. Okay? It also happened. There was in 1914, I believe it happened. Yeah, 1914 it happened. That's when World War I started. In Eastern Europe, they had a black eclipse. It's God telling us what's going on. He's telling us, and in 2024, there's another one coming to America. We'll see what happens. Okay, that's all I've got for that section now.